Stan's here, like so many of us out here, grew up in New York, in Manhattan in particular, owned his own business selling medical supplies. He's a writer now for Renew America and for the Israeli National News. His main website is scrapthedeal.com. Tonight he'll be speaking mainly on the Iranian deal that President Obama agreed to not too long ago, that is fraught with great trouble. So with that, would you please welcome Stan Zier?
Well, first of all, let me get my card here so I don't forget. Thank you for inviting me here. Peter, I mentioned to Peter what I was doing. I think Peter knows Pat, and I know Pat. I'm a member of the West End Republican Club, and very proud to be a member of that group. They're a good group of people, and they stand up for what they believe in. So that's why I joined up with them. Now, as far as what I'm going to talk to you about tonight, is we're facing a crisis. For me, personally, it doesn't matter who's elected here. It has to be Trump, or we're sunk. You kind of know that, I don't have to go into it. The other person is going to shred this Constitution. We're going to lose our freedoms here. So we really have to fight like dogs these last couple of days. But beyond that, I'd like to start with this. My whole fight, in all the articles I wrote, was to try to understand how to use the Constitution as my sword. Not as a piece of paper, but as a reference point, a guideline on how to fight certain issues that would give us a victory, and also would show us the results that were predictable if we didn't follow this guideline. And you can read my articles, and you can see that it's been predicted very simply because we violated certain guidelines of our Constitution. So I'll start with this little insight. It's not the Clinton Foundation that we should be worried about. It's the declaration of war on the Constitution, her declaration of the United States of America, and its rule of law, our stance against absolute power and tyranny, that she's violating. That's the real issue with this election. It's not being brought up. With that, I'll explain what I mean. I'll read from something I wrote that's on my site. It has been said as we approach the selection of another commander-in-chief in the era of growing global instability, there does not exist a unifying consensus to clarify our foreign policy. Yet the guideline for a strong and resolute foreign policy has always been right under our noses. George Washington declared, "The Constitution is the guideline I will never abandon." While our domestic policy is designed to keep us free from the forces of tyranny from within, our foreign policy alerts the nations of the world who we are, what we stand for, as we protect our freedoms for those who promote oppression around the globe. Therefore, our foreign policy must reflect America's protocol, which is defined by our Constitution's stance against tyranny, its rule of law. This resolute rule not only secures our freedoms, but defines America's quest to eternally protect against all those who would release tyranny's deadly venom into the hearts of all humankind. Who dare turn their backs on our nation's sacred endeavor? Who dare cede victory to those who would destroy us and deny us our freedoms? Who will be left to keep the lamp of liberty lit from those who are determined to bring darkness to the world? Do we really want to trust the United Nations an entity that honors secular and religious tyrannies as viable partners for peace. I only end by asking President Obama, this is about the deal, what deal were you fighting for? One where you will be ever freed from the world conflict through submission to tyrannical dictates, or one where we are forever freed from the chains of tyranny by confronting it at its source? America exists to triumph over tyranny, not pay tribute to it. With this in mind, I decided to launch a campaign called Redress of Grievances. In the First Amendment of the Constitution, the greatest amendment, because that's the first thing we amended to secure our nation, we had 4 things about not a religion for the state. In other words, no more state religion collecting taxes in the name of a greater good. The other one was freedom of the press. Third one was we could all assemble freely and protest. And the fourth, and the most important, a redress of grievances, just like our founders did to England. That is available to us. So I wrote a redress of grievances based on this fact. America is the beacon of freedom. Our troops are the guardians that protect this beacon. When our president sells out our troops in order to promote a political agenda that is in direct conflict with his oath of office to uphold the Constitution, we the people must stand our ground, plant our flag, and put everything aside to protect our heroic men and women of the military. Failure to do the right thing, which is standing firm in support of our troops, means we have succeeded in unraveling the moral fabric that binds us to our humanity. What kind of people turn their backs on those who willingly sacrifice their lives to protect our freedoms? What kind of commander-in-chief would place a target on the backs of his own troops as part of a negotiation with enemies who, according to their own constitution, have declared jihad against the Western civilization? If he himself is not an enemy of his own constitution, President Obama must be held accountable for these acts of treason, and now. We can't wait. Veterans of all walks of life have proven their allegiance to this country by taking an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. In return for their dedicated service, millions of brave Americans and women have fallen in battlefields across the world, and those have returned with incurable battle scars have shamelessly received inadequate care by support of our government. This shameful administration is their legacy. It's a double whammy. First, we are allowing the return of $150 billion to an enemy which has already earmarked that money to purchase weapons and aimed at destroying American military worldwide. Can you imagine? The President of the United States of America has put a hit on our troops. He hired Iran as an assassin. That's what this is, because he wants to avoid a war. He thinks he can buy off a fascism. So he offered our troops as collateral. And we're standing there. And they're getting shot? No way. Then secondly, we're not taking adequate care of our military when they come home. So it's coming and going. They're getting it. Coming and going. While we may never be able to repay the debt we owe to our military, we must ensure they did not serve in vain. That is why we the people, the recipients of their ballot, are duty-bound to consecrate their lives with our eternal pledge to protect the Constitution, the foundation upon which our free republic stands. Only then can we continue to enjoy their hard-won and our guaranteed freedoms. Is this how we honor them? Ceding victory to Iran without a fight, now the deal is done? We must not allow this treasonous deal continue without using everything in our power to derail it. Losing is not an option. Had George Washington and his troops not stood up to fight British tyranny, we would not be enjoying the freedoms we have today. By throwing up our hands and they simply accepting this double-crossing deal, it's as if Washington and his ragtag militia shed their blood in vain. Our founding fathers pledged their lives, their honor, their fortunes to establish this great nation. Now we must do the same. Join with us, and that's what we're doing. I've decided to go with the Marines. It's for fire for effect. And we decided to write an article of redress. This article of redress was delivered to the President of the United States of America. I'm going to read some of it. We're telling him, we have the right, we hold the purse strings here. We'll withhold our taxes. We're not going to fund your government. And how do you withhold your taxes? How crazy could we hold that? You don't pay your taxes. Claim 12 dependents. You don't have to pay until April. Where's the government going to get their money? So people say, no, I can't do that. But that's what our founders did. You're not going to get hurt. But Congress will only respond to pressure from us. I'm not waiting for any candidate to tell us, trust me, I'll tell you what we're going to do. When we face fascism, there is only one way to fight fascism. Unconditional surrender through a force that's more powerful than their demented ideals. We did it in World War II, we did it against Japan, we did it against Germany, and now we have a new enemy. And this enemy, Pat and I worked on, which I want to read to you who the new enemy is. It says here, remember, we the people hold the purse strings. It is our hard-earned tax dollars that pay the salaries of those we entrust to run our government. Why should we consent to fund our government when it aids and abets those who vow to destroy our freedoms and puts a gun in the back of our troops' head? Stopping the Iranian deal threat and removing the ultimate mass destruction known to man from getting into the hands of a heinous, tyrannical nation that openly threatens to destroy America is neither a democratic nor a Republican issue. Rather, it's a constitutional mandate. It's against our rule of law. The key to everything that I finally found after all these years is the rule of law. When the president puts his hand on the Constitution, he says, I pledge to defend myself from enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, I used to say, what the hell does that mean? It's just a piece of paper. And it bothered me growing up. What is it? What is it? What is it? And not until a couple of months ago that I finally understood, I guess by the grace of God, what it was. What he pledges, and what all presidents before him pledges, is he pledges to defend the Constitution stands against absolute power. It's rule of law that secures our freedoms. It's our stance against absolute power that secures the free markets around the world. It's our stance that gives us our prosperity, good or bad times. But once we give up this rule of law, once we don't defend it, we're going to inherit everything that we fought against since the birth of this nation. Some people say we shouldn't be the world's policemen. Well, guess what? The Islamic tyrannies, the secular tyrannies, that's the war we're fighting against. It's not just Islam. It's a war of dominions. In 2001, I first wrote, the war, if you want to understand it, look at the people's constitutions of the nations they come from. In the Middle East, the Constitution gives allegiance to Allah over all your inalienable rights. You can't speak. You can't say anything. Well, we know about that. In Russia, the greater good, they do the same thing. Takes away all your freedoms. Well, let me tell you something. Their goal is to get rid of us. Well, if they're more proud of building tyrannies around the world, why are we not more proud of getting rid of them? Why isn't someone standing up as our president and saying, we do not take our marching orders from the United Nations? Who are the United Nations? A bunch of scoundrels, totalitarian scoundrels. And we now, with this deal, has put the Constitution under them. Transfer of power. Our foreign policy no longer stands for our rule of law because we gave victory to Iran and Islam over our rule of law and America. We gave in because we're afraid to stand up against tyranny. Because they convinced us, oh, we can't have war. We better not say anything. We have no right. You're damn straight we have a right. So now we're dying a death by 1,000 cuts. No one respects us. The world is leaving us. So, what is this all about? This is a redress of grievances and saying, get rid of it now. Congress, you failed us. President, you lied to us. He already said, I know the money will be earmarked to kill our troops. Can you imagine a president of the United States of America standing up and addressing this nation and saying, hey, listen, I made a good deal for us. They won't bother us, but I get money to kill our troops. And we all sat here. How about our troops? The people that you see me marching with into Trump Tower are decorated Marines. These are decorated Marines. Their valor is incredible, they told me. They're also injured. The guy was blind. We placed them in the middle of Trump Tower amongst crowds of people walking, and that's where they are. They're standing right there amongst you every day as you walk to work and wherever you go. So I'm asking for your support, to support this redress of grievances. Once we understand that we have the rule of law, then we understand who we are. Again, we stand against tyranny is the rule of law of our Constitution. It defines all the amendments of the Constitution. Checks and balances against absolute power. We have the greatest document of governance ever created in the world. That's why President George Washington, our founder, said, I use the Constitution as my only guideline. Why? Because we don't tolerate tyranny. That's why we're free. That's the only reason. We had religious tyranny. We broke from religious tyranny. It was our first freedom. People using God's name to deny us and collect taxes. That's a reality. That stance is, that's why we won't accept Sharia law. Sharia law is not an inalienable right. It's a challenge to our Constitution, our rule of law. Take away our individual rights and give it over to some greater good in the name of God or the state. We got the Constitution to protect the rights of the individuals from the tyranny of the state. And we got a lady in Hillary Clinton that is about to shred this Constitution. That when they made that deal. So the other thing I'm going to ask you is, with 14 days to go, why don't we make a commercial and say, take the gun out of our, what kind of foreign policy, and let that ring through this land. Because no one's saying anything. We're being misrepresented, and we're not talking. If we put such a thing, that you can't do that with our foreign policy, she's finished. She's dead in water. That's their foreign policy.
Why isn't anyone doing it?
Because no one believes in the rule of law. Because no one thought the Constitution and its rule of law. They thought about the Second Amendment. But what's the Second Amendment? It comes from the First Amendment, the rule of law. It all comes from there. Every amendment comes from there. No one can articulate among our people what this Constitution is, what is the purpose of our nation, So we can all proudly stand up and say to Russia, Iran, North Korea, we don't take marching orders from you, we give you the marching orders. We're here to conquer tyranny so the world can be in peace. And since the United States has been in business, in 233 years, the world is 66% transparent. How is that possible? It's because of our documents. We're the United Nations. You're looking at it. We came from everywhere.
So you're saying that no congressman, no senator
no.
cannot stand up and say what you're saying?
No, they haven't. If they did, and you knew it, you'd be fighting.
One did, this one.
I'm with you. So join together with us. Right now we got the Marines. I'm coming here for your support. Let's do something. The problem is, we don't have the time. And this is the last thing I'm going to tell you. Iran and Russia have teamed together. They missed that altogether. Secular tyrannies and religious tyrannies. They're the same DNA to challenge our freedoms in the world. They always will. And we're not doing anything. But Iran is about to cross a line that we never thought of. She's becoming an acceptable trading partner in the world. And once she does, we can't stop her. So we got to stop her now, and we got to stop her before this president gets in office, because it's happening now. That is the imminent threat. And Mark Levin, if you know who he is, just recently, it took him 8 years, Iran's the greatest threat we're faced, we better stop it now. He didn't get it. No one got it. Luckily, I got it. So I'm a Baji, I'm a warrior now. I won't shut up.